Shall we play a game?
Fight all you want, you old fool. You're merely delaying the inevitable.
Thank you for a very enjoyable game.
Tonight, we've got Team WOPR taking on the Average Joes. Who will win? Who will lose? Only the games will tell. Match 1, we have CrossToss taking on IronBot on Neo Moonglaive. Match 2, CudleZerg fights Crona on Overwatch. Followed by TerrBear versus Locutus on Electric Circuit in Match 3. And lastly but not leastly, Match 4 will host CudleZerg against BananaBrain on Destination. If we reach the ace match, the map and players will be decided at random for both teams. But before we hop into the games, we'd like to take a quick look at our schedule again. After tonight, we'll only have 2 more matches before the end of the first round on November 19th and November 23rd. After that, we anticipate there will be no delays going right into round 2 the following weeks, and while we have slotted the dates in for the matches, we have not gotten the teams assigned their matches. However, round 2 will start on Sunday, November 26th. Now on to the team introduction. Team WOPR is a powerhouse team and possibly considered the team to beat this league that RNGesus has blessed with a strong trio in BananaBrain, Locutus, and Crona, with IronBot and Betastar rounding out their main roster nicely. Though McRaveZ may be considered the weakest bot by schnail ladder points that qualified for this league, it shouldn't be counted out though with his tricky builds and cheesy play as a wild card for the team too. How will the Average Joes fare against this much processing power? Only way to find out is to start the games. Starting now. And starting here at the 5 o'clock position on the right, we have IronBot from Team WOPR. And up here at the noon, CrossToss, Average Joes. Now I'll have to see what we're able to get done from CrossToss. He says PvT is actually his weakest matchup, which is ironic, you know, because everyone talks about how the Protoss supremacy in the matchup. But, you know, these bots don't play fair, he says, compared to a lot of human players. They just spread all their minds out all over the place and just be really annoying trying to kite your units into the mines, and you got to constantly be all over everything. It's just, he just says it's not a fun experience to play as a human. But, yeah, see what he can do. We do have IronBot coming out. Throwing down the depot. And a pylon started for CrossToss. So far, nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy at all. We have the pylon finished for CrossToss. Looks like we have a gateway maybe starting. See if he decides to scout after this, or maybe scout after the gas. And IronBot throwing down the barracks. We'll just see if he takes his gas or goes for something else, more like a barracks expand, or hell, you know, he may even go for something even crazier. So he is taking the gas. CrossToss as well, taking his gas. I imagine we're going to see a core follow-up out of CrossToss here coming soon as the gateway is finished. And indeed we do. Barracks almost done for IronBot, sending out a scout. CrossToss has not actually sent a scout out yet. We'll have to see if he's trying to do something super greedy with that extra probe, or that's just a mistake that he might have committed. Core almost finished. IronBot throwing down a factory. Just currently at 1 factory, 1 gateway. Range is started, however, for CrossToss. IronBot finishing that wall off at his front. And still only the 1 factory. He does seem to have pulled the SCVs off of gas. We'll imagine that's probably for a faster command center. And CrossToss finally sending out a scout. Goon almost done. Finally be able to chase that SCV scout out. And sending a probe for a Nexus. IronBot started the machine shop. And command center inside the base, planning to float it after he's got his siege tanks in position. And CrossToss able to catch the SCV with the pylon. See how he decides to follow up now that the SCV has been killed. Throwing down a robo. Possibly for Reavers. Maybe just observers. We'll have to see. Siege tanks. Siege mode on the way for IronBot. CrossToss does finally find IronBot's starting location, though he knew it when he scouted the other position and didn't find him. But now he's at least got eyes on him. Was able to scout that command center. Adding an extra gateway. And a citadel. I don't think he's going to be going Reavers with this robotics facility. We'll have to see if he maybe goes DT drops. Seems maybe a little early, though, to get the robotics facility if he is planning on that. Nexus finished. Transferring probes. Command center finished. Floating down to the natural. IronBot lifting up his barracks to let his units through. And we have 2 goons, 2 tanks so far as combat units on the field for both players. CrossToss does immediately see that CC landing, does decide to start running the probe away. Adding observatory. Still only on 2 gates. We do have a armory and second factory started for IronBot. Have a bunker as well. And CrossToss started Zealot speed and adding 3 gateways. And 2 stargates, so we're going to see a carrier play coming out most likely. Engineering bay. Done just in time for IronBot. We'll see if he throws down any turrets, just willy-nilly. Possibly for DTs or anything that aren't coming. We do have a vulture going out, testing the waters. And mines almost finished. Do have a few turrets going up to protect against any potential Reavers or DTs that might be headed his way, but unfortunately CrossToss not doing any of that, just going straight for gateway man into carriers basically. He's starting to fleet beacon, sitting on 2 bases. IronBot destroying that probe as it came down to check out things. Some vultures hanging out, probe in the front. IronBot may be going for a push, unsieging his tanks. Nope, just getting in a better favorable position. And vultures making the rounds, checking out every location, seeing if there's any hidden expansions. We do not have any carrier started, however the fleet beacon is finished. Supply-wise, pretty much even between both players. Still only have the 2 factories for IronBot. Is researching his +1 though and starting another factory, a factory and a starport. Vultures continually trying to probe at the front. One checking out the rounds in the back. Deciding he doesn't want any of that. And we do have our first carrier on the way. IronBot, 5 tanks. Deciding now is the time to move out. Maybe sniffs that he senses a little weakness. Maybe take out the Protoss before these carriers hit the field. Getting his mines and such set up with the vultures. And trying to pull one of those zealots off onto the side. CrossToss, however, leaving his units on hold position. Scouting out this advancing Terran position with his observer, deciding this is the time to go. Eating a couple mines, however, pushing IronBot back. CrossToss deciding to back up now that the siege position has started. And we just have a steady stream of units, wraiths, tanks, and vultures all coming down to sit on CrossToss's natural expansion. It looks like IronBot was able to sneak in a vulture during that attack as well. CrossToss going out. Doing a decent job target firing these tanks down. Deciding to back up now. Need more zealot support. And we do have 1 carrier on the field, 2 more started. However, it does not seem to have any interceptors available. IronBot getting turrets set up, getting more wraiths, sending the wraith even to harass as the main battle is going on down here. CrossToss, not necessarily with the game ending trouble, but if he doesn't find something to do with these siege tanks soon, he will be losing his natural and this game most likely. Rushing out, catching the siege tanks as they siege out. Or, excuse me, siege down. IronBot sending a plethora of SCVs to start repairing. That wraith being pushed out finally by that carrier. Despite the harassment, worker count is basically even. CrossToss deciding even to block off this back area so no more vultures can come through. And for some reason, IronBot keeps rushing forward with his tanks despite having no anti-air to fight this carrier off. IronBot. Tables slightly turning since he cannot deal with this carrier. Losing his units left and right. Even more carriers hitting the field. Just a matter of time till they're operational with all their interceptors. CrossToss deciding, even though it's not the best time to attack, he's already revealed them, so he might as well get what he can get done with them, even if they don't have full interceptors just yet. These zealots, though, really doing what they can to get into this worker line. And we finally have some Goliaths on the field. We'll have to see if IronBot's able to get enough Goliaths to push this push forward, or if CrossToss will be able to just barely keep holding him off. Is deciding to finally throw down some cannons, saying, I'm done with this vulture nonsense. And IronBot getting a full scout of CrossToss's base with that vessel. However, CrossToss seemingly getting the carrier train started, taking IronBot for a ride. Still only has a few Goliaths and a couple turrets. And unfortunately, that's not going to be enough to defeat these. Goliaths and turrets falling left and right. However, CrossToss losing basically his entire gateway army. 2 more carriers, however, have joined the fray. They do only have partial interceptors, however, again, only a matter of time, especially as he keeps holding this push off until CrossToss is able to have a full set. This is a very tug-of-war back and forth right in front of CrossToss's natural, however, CrossToss seemingly just barely able to hold on every single time IronBot attacks. Holding off these Terran reinforcements while the cannons keep the vultures at bay. We do have 1-1 done for the Terran. No upgrades on these carriers. However, +1 started. And it is just a steady stream of units from IronBot's base. It would probably be better if he stepped back for a second and tried to consolidate his forces instead of piecemealing them into these carriers. These carriers have only been growing in power over time and really are not that damaged. One is, however, very damaged. Most of them, however, are not very damaged. CrossToss fighting his way all the way across. However, his natural still under siege, making more cannons to hold these vultures off. But pushing now all the way back into front of IronBot's base. IronBot, and now is the one in a bit of trouble. Doesn't have enough Glaive production to keep these carriers at bay, and his turrets seemingly will fall in just a matter of time. These vultures and SCVs do not want to mess with this cannon wall and the gateway army that's coming out to support it. However, IronBot in a bit of trouble as his natural is starting to fall. Even his units bugging out just a tiny bit going into the natural. CrossToss, for some reason, focusing on the barracks with his interceptors. And trying to play refugee style. He does not have a ton of minerals left. We'll have to see if he's able to close the game out or if IronBot will be able to hold him off. However, IronBot, in a very similar situation, not very many minerals left. And these carriers making short work of these Goliaths as they pop out, very soon to be on top of the factory production. Meanwhile, Gateway and cannons holding the front for CrossToss. IronBot doing what he can with the Vulture Goliath force, but being picked off by the goons and the cannons at the front. Meanwhile, these carriers slowly grinding down anything and everything in their area. Non-attacking units bugging out on attacking units, unfortunately, trying to get these Vultures to go through these Goliaths. However, the Goliaths doing their patrol micro back and forth to get out of the carriers. And CrossToss slowly working his way up into main base of IronBot. Unfortunately, IronBot may be saying GG here soon, as he cannot deal with these carriers, and CrossToss is about to be not only on top of his production, but all of his supply facilities. Ooh, CrossToss focusing the armory. Taking away the ability to make Goliaths for IronBot. Taking out the last of these turrets. Taking out what few Goliaths and Wraiths remain. I gotta say, it should be a pretty even game for CrossToss. Excuse me, it's CrossToss's game to lose. Not that it's even game, but it's CrossToss's game to lose. It is trying to remake the armory, but getting his SCVs picked off as they make them. IronBot in a heap of trouble. Has started another base, but more carriers flying in. does have one turret that he's trying to mass repair as just a few interceptors fight it, but I can imagine once CrossToss decides to focus fire that will not survive long. Exactly. Just like that. And IronBot desperately trying to hold on, however his factory's silent despite having money. Starport not making anything. Perhaps taking stock of his situation as carriers in the natural blow him up everything there, and carriers as main blow everything up there. And CrossToss ferrying all of his probes over to this new expansion. Unfortunately, running out of minerals in his main and natural. Oh, and with that, IronBot GG's. And with CrossToss utilizing a carrier fleet, he's able to take down IronBot. How will CudleZerg face off against Crona in his first human vs. bot league ZVZ? The game starts now. And starting game 2 off, we have Crona in the purple up at the top left. And CudleZerg in the blue down in the bottom right. Now this is the first these players have ever played each other, and CudleZerg actually says, at least for human vs. human, he feels most confident in ZVZ. So we'll have to see if that translates to a bot opponent, especially one as high ranking as Crona. So far, both players just droning up, doing everything normal. I don't think we're going to see anything too crazy just yet, if anything crazy is going to happen. Love to see if he makes a drone, or, excuse me, a Overlord with this, or, yep. So we have an Overlord coming out of CudleZerg, and an Overlord out of Crona. Crona's Overlord actually just a tiny bit faster thanks to the bot boosting that they can do with the minerals permanently, unlike a human player. Crona, however, no pool, however, is saving minerals and has decided just instead to throw a pool down instead. CudleZerg following that as well, making his own spawning pool. Overlord's about to do the high five in the middle of the map. High five! Meanwhile, both players' pools just about finished. And Crona taking a hatchery at his natural. Meanwhile, CudleZerg opting for the hatchery in his main. Pair of Zerglings out for Crona. However, a pair of drones for CudleZerg. Natural hatchery about halfway done. And CudleZerg finally has a couple pair of his own Zerglings. However, Crona opting to keep his lings at his natural. More of defensive posture and throwing down a third hatchery in his main before gas. Meanwhile, CudleZerg starting to mine his gas. Almost has enough for the lair. Hatchery in his main almost finished. Lings as well, seemingly more defensive, staying at home. And a layer started. And we have 8 lings to 8 lings. And Crona switching more to drone production. Still has not taken his gas. CudleZerg making a few more lings. Layer about halfway finished. seemingly Crona about to take a huge lead. 3 hatcheries finished. Drones out the wazoo is starting to throw down creep colonies now, despite CudleZerg not advancing with his lings. And still has not advanced to any higher tech or taken his gas at all. Meanwhile, Lair just finished for CudleZerg. CudleZerg opting to make the spire behind his mineral line. And Crona finishing those sunkens. Still mass producing drones out of these hatcheries. Even throwing down a 3rd creep colony. We'll have to see if that's a sunken as well. And this spire almost halfway finished. Crona having almost 0 anti-air right now. Is finally throwing down the evolution chamber. Throwing down multiple creep colonies all over the place. Transferring his drones back to the main for some reason. And the spire reaching 500 out of 600. Crona waiting to transform these into spore colonies. However, if he waits too much longer, these mutas will be at least in one of his naturals. Or excuse me, one of his mineral lines, either at the natural or at the main. Throwing down even more creep colonies, transferring them into spores. All in all, about 8 spore colonies and 3 sunkens, buttoning up this Zerg perimeter as best it can. And CudleZerg, scouting all this with his overlord, decides, alright, I won't go too heavily into mutas, take my own natural, and proceed from there. Does have about 5 mutas hatching. Collecting them all up to head towards Crona's main, possibly his natural. However, with these spore colonies in place, I'm not quite sure what CudleZerg can get done. We'll have to see. All in all, about 5 is going to catch an overlord out in the field. Will supply block Crona for just a tiny bit. And back at home, we still just have some mutas and the natural hatchery being created. Is diving in on these drones at the natural, possibly to protect his overlord as he ran it by. Is able to get a significant amount of kills. However, with how much Crona was able to drone at the beginning of this match, it is more like evening it than actually gaining any value out of these mutas. Running the last little bits back into his main. However, worker count even after all of that, 33 for Crona, 12 for CudleZerg. Crona opting for a 3rd hatchery even. Throwing down the Hydra Den. Seems like it's going to go for a massive Hydra push. CudleZerg trying to take some newly hatched mutas and trying to shut down this 3rd, but Crona has a few Hydras moving up, and unfortunately CudleZerg just does not have the muta count to really be threatening. Is being annoying, but ultimately I don't think it'll be able to take this hatchery out before Crona is able to get his Hydras up there to fend him off. Waiting for a few more as they hatch out. Rallying over there to the 3rd. Speed is almost finished. +1, halfway-ish finished. And actually, this hatchery may be in a bit of trouble. Crona does not rush in and save it. However, finally, moving up his Hydras and chasing out CudleZerg's mutas. More mutas hatching. We do still have a sizable ling force. If CudleZerg would have brought these lings up here to attack Crona's 3rd, he actually may have been able to fight off these Hydras and take that out. However, unfortunately, not comboing his units and leaving them in his natural that hatchery will be able to finish, albeit in an extremely damaged state. But does it matter? Crona is moving out with his units, even going for another expansion behind this, rushing forward to the natural. We'll have to see. CudleZerg is starting to throw down some Sunkens. However, will they be done in time? These Lings at the front, on hold position, not really moving in, are trying to fight back the Horde. Muta's flying in as well. Sunken started again, however, all of those Lings are gone, and the Mutas have to fight by themselves now. Able to take out a few kills, however, I believe Crona will be sealing this game momentarily, as he is running through the natural of CudleZerg. CudleZerg trying to throw down more Sunkens, but immediately sniped down by the Hydras. The Mutas are seemingly trading as best they can, taking out multiple Hydras before falling, however, Crona, too high of an economy, too many Hydras. Even starting to work on this natural hatchery, it should be falling shortly. CudleZerg losing every unit that he has produced so far. And with that, it looks like this will be GG. And with CudleZerg falling to a Hydra bust, causing Crona to even up the score 1-1. Will TerrBear be able to take back the lead for the Joes, or will Locutus push their advantage? Let's find out now. And spawning at 5 o'clock in the yellow is TerrBear for the average Joes in the bottom right. And at 7 in the teal, Locutus for Team WOPR in the bottom left. Unfortunately, last game, CudleZerg taking a bit of a whipping from Crona with a Hydra bust. Something that he's sure was possible, but is very rarely seen in human vs. human ZVZ. We'll have to see if Locutus pulls something similar to TerrBear, or if TerrBear maybe has something in store for Locutus. Statistically speaking, TerrBear says that unfortunately TVP is his worst matchup, but he's going to give it his all against Locutus, even though Locutus is the top 3rd ranked Protoss currently on the Schnail ladder. Both players starting the game off pretty similarly. Pylon, I'm sure we'll have a depot coming up here soon. And depot started for TerrBear. Locutus, though, deciding to go for an early Pylon scout. We'll have to see if he goes checking the middle, it seems, for proxies and checking cross spawns. Adding a gateway to his main base. And TerrBear starting his barracks as soon, it looks like. Locutus scouting that there is no cross positions going on. And TerrBear sending out his own scout. So it looks like TerrBear will be able to scout Locutus on the first try, but Locutus scouting TerrBear on the second. TerrBear adding his gas. And Locutus also gas. Has his core started. Both players finally scouting each other out. Seeing nothing crazy is going on. TerrBear stashing that SCV in the natural to check for whenever Locutus takes his Nexus. And Locutus getting a firm scout of TerrBear's base, making sure nothing's being hidden. Marine searching for the probe. And TerrBear starting his factory at the same time. Range being started for Locutus. And it looks like Locutus may be going for a natural expansion. Only one gateway, one goon so far. Sending that probe away instead of letting it die to the Marine. And TerrBear starting a bunker at his natural. And a second factory in his main. TerrBear deciding to scout the main out as he catches the probe going to the natural. Will be targeted down by that goon, however does get a nice scout of things. Still sees only the range being researched, only one gate. And I believe he saw 2 goons or 1 goon. However, we'll be able to escape and scout the natural for sure as well to make sure that the Nexus went up. Has a few SCVs in a bunker ready to go to deflect this goon as it advances on his main. Has started tank and siege mode as well. However, scouts Locutus going for the Citadel of Adun. And that can only mean one thing, ladies and gentlemen. Invisible men. And with range finished, is going to start working on that bunker. TerrBear having to repair that bunker. Annoyingly, as a Terran player, when I play Terran, I know what that feels like. Unfortunately, in Brood War, you do have to manually repair it each time it goes off, because if you repair it and they repair it to full, the SCVs stop repairing until you repair it, tell them to repair again. However, TerrBear will be able to push this away very quickly. Unfortunately, sieging his tank just slightly out of position to his range. Moving it up now, and with that, we'll be able to push these goons away from his natural. Deciding to go double siege shop, or machine shops on his factories, producing double siege tanks. And has an engineering bay in place to get those turrets up for when those DTs come into play. And in fact, that was good timing because those DTs have been started and will be on their way momentarily. However, delaying his natural expansion. Trying to scout, however, these goons should make quick work of this SCV. And the DTs almost finished. Also has a robotics and a shuttle started, so I can imagine DT drops will be coming momentarily. TerrBear starting his natural expansion at 6 minutes into the game. Has no defenses in place for when those shuttles come in. However, does have 1 turret at the natural. Researching speed and mines for vultures now. Is starting a missile turret in his mineral line as well. May sense that the DT drops are a possibility and on their way. Goons dancing back and forth in front of TerrBear's natural, trying to see if there's any damage that they might be able to poke at or any sort of detection they might be able to snipe. And we do have 1 DT on the field. And 4 DTs in the shuttle. We'll have to see what he wants to do with this DT. Seems he'll be trying to poke at the front, however, that front will be very easily covered. It's the shuttle that we should be far more worried about. And immediately, that DT getting assassinated. And this shuttle making its rounds. Goons trying to do some damage, however, pushed back by the siege tanks. And Locutus taking a third, about to drop these dirty, dirty DTs into TerrBear's main. And we still only have the 1 turret. We do have a starport with an add-on almost finished for TerrBear. And plethora of vultures being produced out of these factories, maybe going for some sort of drop play. However, little too late as the drops are coming to him. Locutus flying in with the shuttle. 4 DTs. What sort of damage is he looking to get? Hopefully not a lot for our average Joe's player. However, so far, seemingly completely destroying everything. Takes out the scanner, immediately taking out the turret, assassinating workers left and right. These vultures, unfortunately, a little too late, unable to see the DTs due to the turret being destroyed, laying some mines to try to draw them into them. Does have a scanner. However, I don't know if he'll be able to kill all of those in one scan, especially when he doesn't have his units in place. Scanning and not even taking out a potentially even one of... Oh, it takes out one DT. However, immediately losing... Well, not losing, however, will probably lose that CC. Losing all of his depots, is going to have to fly the factories away. However, does have his own vulture drop heading into Locutus's main. Locutus still unable to break the front due to no lack of army. And assassinating all of these probes in the mineral line at the main, maybe evening up just a tiny bit. However, these DTs are still free roaming in TerrBear's base, killing almost the entire mineral line in the main. But even with that, Locutus still double the amount of workers that TerrBear has. Trying to load up the vultures into the dropship now that the goons are back. We'll try to probably drop at the natural here. However, again, these DTs making quick work of anything that they're able to get a hold of. Able to get a few more kills, however, those goons able to quickly deflect what is left of those vultures. And the DTs dancing in and outside of that detection of the turret, making another turret. And Locutus even gathering a fourth during all that I missed. TerrBear is, yep, took stock of his situation and decided this game's over. GG. TerrBear being hacked to death by Locutus's invisible min drop causes the Joes to drop another point. With the next match possibly being the deciding one, how will CudleZerg decide to play against BananaBrain to try and force an ace match? Let's see now. And here on Destination, we have CudleZerg at the top, 12 o'clock, and BananaBrain for Team WOPR down at 6 o'clock at the bottom. Unfortunately, TerrBear losing to DT drop from Locutus. We'll see if CudleZerg will be able to keep the Joes in the match, or will he fall to BananaBrain. And already having some dirty, cheesy play coming out of CudleZerg, banking it all on a 5 pool. We'll have to see how BananaBrain decides to respond. I unfortunately don't see this working out super well for CudleZerg. Unfortunately, the bots are pretty good at defending these types of cheeses with their inhuman APM and non-stop building. However, opting for the Forge Fast Expand, CudleZerg may actually be able to get some damage done depending on how quickly he's able to get down there. Finally, pool started, about third of the way finished. And the probe coming up, we'll see that this pool is almost finished very soon. However, BananaBrain has not started anything else back at home. Finally starting a forge. However, finally scouts the 5 pool. And with the pool done, starting the Lings now. Immediately starts a pylon in his main. BananaBrain, depending on how he responds, could be in a heap of trouble or could deflect this with ease. We do have 6 Lings on the way. Cannon started in the main, seemingly abandoning the natural. Even pulling back that scouting probe just to have an extra worker to mine. BananaBrain opting for a second cannon. These lings about halfway down to his main. And we'll start a gateway in range of the cannons. CudleZerg reaching the main, however, immediately seeing that there are cannons in place, decides to start harassing this gateway, but the probes are having none of it. Decide to take out the pylon to supply block and then take out the forge. May even lose this overlord to that cannon, but is able to save it at the last second. CudleZerg taking down the forge so no more cannons can be made. However, BananaBrain should be pretty safe with just these two cannons and the probes. Opting for a second gateway. And CudleZerg has started actually making drones at his main. Possibly has a bad rally though from his hatchery. Is able to get the cancel on that second gateway, however, Zealot about to pop out of the first, and starting a second gateway down at the bottom in the range of the cannons, and a third gateway even. And that Zealot pops out, and CudleZerg, attempting to get the surround, immediately starts working on that gateway, however, getting blown up by these cannons. And the drone finally showing up, proving that it was a bad rally. However, CudleZerg about to take his natural hatchery to attempt to get back into this game now that his 5 pool has been deflected. Running around trying to annoy and keep the Zealots at bay to buy him some time. Is going to be able to take that Zealot out, however, cannons have an insane amount of reach. Is going to be able to take that pylon out to resupply block our Protoss player. And may be able to kill this Zealot. However, BananaBrain pulling it back into the probe line. Has going to have these 2 Zealots chase around these 5 lings. If the Zealots don't get separated, the Zealots will be able to easily take out those lings. And BananaBrain having a little indecisiveness on if he should send the Zealots to the main of CudleZerg or if he should stay back to protect his workers. For now, deciding to chase the lings around, giving CudleZerg more time to get this natural hatchery up and potentially some sunkens in place to protect him. Has started a plethora of drones in his main while he dances these lings around inside of BananaBrain's base. However, BananaBrain, 3 gateways mass producing Zealots. It will be not that long at all before, no matter what CudleZerg does, it will not be able to stop that flood of Zealots. And opting to take his natural nexus finally. Almost cleared out these lings in his main. Really, honestly, not even that big of a threat because of the cannons. And finally cleared the last one out. Starting the core as well. CudleZerg rushing to get sunkens in place. Body blocking himself even. Throws down 2, 3, 4. And makes more drones. Meanwhile, Zealots on their way to his base. Core almost finished. Is able to get the sunkens down in time and even throwing down the evolution chambers to perform a bit of SimCity. And with the reinforcement lings, I think he's actually saved himself from BananaBrain's first Protoss assault. BananaBrain opting to not completely invest in that attack, pulling back at the last second. Is waiting for a few more Zealot reinforcements. Does have a forge being remade. And a Stargate. Natural Nexus finished. Just now transferring probes to there. And again, going for another assault against this wall of Sunkens. BananaBrain, instead, rushing in on the workers, saying, screw the Sunkens. If we can kill the workers, that's all we need to do. And CudleZerg running this drone away so it is not targeted by the Zealots. BananaBrain, though, trading his entire Zealot force for just a few drones. However, starting a third Nexus in the back of his base. CudleZerg, still trying to drone up and get back into this game, starting a layer. See what he does with that. And he started a Corsair. And cannons in the new natural. With cannons in the natural and cannons in the main, I'm not quite sure what CudleZerg can attempt to accomplish. Throwing down a Hydralisk Den, maybe opting for the Lurkers. Does have a couple idle workers as natural. Unfortunately, maybe freaking out just a tiny bit at what state he's in compared to BananaBrain, and he doesn't even know about this third Nexus in the back that's about to finish. But BananaBrain, following up with the Templar Archives, does have a few Corsairs about to take out the rest of CudleZerg's Overlords. CudleZerg making a few spores to try to save the Overlords that he's now hatching from his hatchery to replace them. And it shouldn't be too much longer until BananaBrain walks away with the victory in this game, folks. I really want CudleZerg to win, but unfortunately, outside of deflecting that Protoss initial Zealot assault, and in fact, Zealots running in now, targeting all the drones that they can get a hold of. Killing drones left and right. Unfortunately, CudleZerg started just a tiny bit of Hydra production, is holding on by just the thread, a simple thread that will quickly be overwhelmed as these bases come back online for BananaBrain. Adding in more Dark Templars. And once he takes out all of these Overlords, once CudleZerg tries to move, these Dark Templars should make short work out of any army that CudleZerg is able to produce. Hydras chasing out the Corsairs, or trying to at least. Maybe catching this one, however, BananaBrain running it to the side. Wanting to attack that Overlord, however, running away from the Spore at the same time. And we have a DT sneaking in. Unfortunately, the area is pretty much covered with the Sunkens and the Spores. Taking pop shots at this Overlord as it hatched. And Zealots rushing in, targeting the drones again. BananaBrain really taking down the drones as much as he can, even if it costs him all of his Zealots, simply because he can make the Zealots faster than CudleZerg can make the drones. Is able to save a bit more than usual thanks to those Hydras that he pulled out. However, BananaBrain adding on a 5th Nexus. CudleZerg still on his natural, losing drones left and right with every attack. Is trying to bait those DTs into range so that he can detect them and kill them. And another wave of Zealots coming up, rushing in to take out the workers. Finally able to detect these DTs as he moves the Overlord into position. Maybe even take out this Observer. Nope. is able to escape. However, another wave of zealots coming up. And BananaBrain, Macro Machine, got a 6th base coming up. CudleZerg doing what he can to survive. BananaBrain not able to break through completely at the natural. However, CudleZerg not exactly growing at any considerable rate. Losing workers left and right in exchange for the zealots. We'll have to see how much longer CudleZerg wants to put up with this, considering, honestly, at this point, he has 0 chance of winning this game. And as he's moving up with the Overlords, trying to get them over his Hydras to protect them, he's going to try and move out and immediately be met with a wave of Zealots. Doing the best he can to micro back. However, he has more Zealots than CudleZerg has Hydras at this point. And CudleZerg losing Hydras left and right. And with that, CudleZerg, GG's. And after deflecting a 5 pool and macroing enough of Zealots to overrun CudleZerg's defensive position, BananaBrain seized the series for Team WOPR 3-1. Even if you can't win them all, hopefully the Joes will be able to show a better performance next week against Team Megabyte. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future matches, and have a good night.